This is AE Best Practices, a series where I break down the 12 fundamentals of being a top AE. This is part 6, pipeline management. I see pipeline management as basically all the time that I'm spending that isn't pipeline generation, on calls with prospects, or sending follow-ups. And that's important because obviously time is your most valuable resource, and prioritizing your tasks and having a clear plan around how you approach pipeline management enables you to execute on bringing deals in. I always aim to have a holistic view of my pipeline at any given time. I always aim to prioritize late stage deals and high value opportunities when I'm doing my pipeline management in between calls. And I make sure that every morning I'm setting priorities at the start of the day and being as efficient as possible with getting through that to-do list to make sure I'm covering as much ground as possible each time. In terms of understanding my pipeline in a really holistic way, I like having a Kanban view of my pipeline. I just find visualizing it in that kind of post-it note style and progressing deals through from left through to right really helps me visualize things. A side note, Kanban is a cool concept which originates from Japanese manufacturing in the 1960s, which enabled them to visualize the manufacturing process a lot more effectively. In any case, what I'm doing is looking at my deals and asking myself the question in simple terms, what can I do to progress this deal today? Starting on the late stage and the high value opportunities, asking myself that question, writing myself a to-do or a takeaway and what I'm going to do that day, and then moving on to the next deal. The aim being that I've got a handful of tasks that I'm going to execute in between my calls to make sure that I can kind of nudge the deals forward little by little instead of letting things stall for say a week without any kind of small touch points that are going to help the deal progress and hopefully close. I find productivity is obviously really important in this, so I'm really trying to avoid distractions as much as possible. So closing tabs like LinkedIn, I try and put my phone away in my bag and zip it up so that I'm not going to be looking at distractions. I set my Apple Watch to work mode, so I'm going to reduce the notifications that are coming through, just to try and stay as laser focused on the tasks and maybe even get in a flow state while I'm doing it, so that I can just kind of get through it and be efficient and hyper productive. I'll aim to set time blocks. I've tried using a kind of timer and having that on my desk, which I found helped. I don't actually use it that much anymore. Alternatively, actually having a physical notebook with to-dos that I tick off as I go through the day, which is quite satisfying, as opposed to kind of relying on digital notifications. I just find it's a bit more analog and just helps me stay focused as there's a kind of constant reminder there for me on the desk as I go throughout the day. So in summary, I find my approach to pipeline management dictates how I'm actually going to spend all my free time in between calls. And that's important because time is everybody's most valuable asset, and so it's really important that we spend it wisely. And I manage it by visualizing my pipeline, setting clear priorities, and being as efficient and productive as possible. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn for part 7, which is going to be ensuring that prospects show up to the next call.